it's fairly clear to me that the screenplay was written by a Christian, a believer, and expresses quite straightforwardly a Christian vision of sin and redemption. And I think Abel's mise en scène problematizes this viewpoint. I think particularly the ending, where we see Kathleen in a cemetery after she supposedly died. That's a scene which I think raises far more questions than it answers, and particularly in terms of the imagery and the music. There is nothing in this scene to suggest transcendence.
The final scene of the film in the graveyard seems to me extremely ambiguous, but I'd be very interested to hear your...
What's ambiguous about it?
Is she dead? Is she still a vampire? Or is she alive?
No, she's been converted. She had her conversion. Her old life is gone. The life of the addict is over. And now she begins her new life as a spiritual being, as clean. If you want to use the metaphor of fucking drugs, I mean, it's clear as a bell, bro. That old self dies. The last moment, her old friend tries to pull her back into the life. But she steps across, and she steps it with the power of God. She's taking a communion, dog. You know what I mean? This is a sacrament, a holy sacrament for Nikki and that movie. Sure, you can look at it a million different ways, but there's not that many ways you can look at that. And that power of her saying, help me, God, or the line that was there was perfect. It was beautiful. And we had a real priest. We nailed that motherfucker, okay? And it was his point, okay? She left behind the life that she had. Okay? Yeah, here, let me have this camera. So let me ask you a question. But the thing is, is this rolling? Okay. How could it not be uplifting? It's about resurrection, through the word of Christ.
I understand that, but what? When you
that's your
become
position, right? Where are you at?
Where am I at?
Yeah, in terms of Jesus and.
Mine is a very complicated process. I think. I think that God has manifested Himself to different cultures in different ways. So and I think that Jesus would find it abhorrent that people even called themselves Christians. How do we know what the Buddha said? Buddha's stuff wasn't even recorded for 400 years until after his death. What happens to victims? What happens to Catherine Irby? What happens when you turn into a predator? The character is risen, but the character never makes amends to the people that she has passed her addiction along to. So if you want to look at it that way, how is it uplifting? Because there are still victims out there that are continuing the addiction.
The thing about the film, though, is, again, it's very specific, and Nikki has a very specific belief. But I feel that it's inclusive in that it doesn't I'm still allowed to have my own beliefs and watch the movie.
Here's Washington Square, right there.
In a shot like this where you're in the street, do you need permission to film? Are these actual pedestrians or are they extras?
There ain't no fucking extras. This is fucking the street. What do you think I'm directing these people? Brad, don't start with these crazy questions. These are, we're shooting the street, bro. What the fuck, do we have a permit? Yeah, one permit. You shoot 13 scenes by it. But, what do you think? We're casting these people? This is fucking New York, dog.